Hi, Aaron Smith here, and I want to teach about the principle known as the slyman doctrine and how I received it. In 1996, I was born again. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I saw light and love and peace emulating through my body in the reflection. You could say I saw my aura, um, shining. The moment before this experience happened, I called out to Jesus and took a leap of, the moment before I was falling. And the moment before that, I was calling out to Jesus and taking the leap of faith. So I fell, and then he caught me. Now that wiggling there, that's my thumb wiggling to keep my phone from going dark. So back to the teaching. So yeah, I fell. And I was scared because I was like, I'm gonna get brainwashed. I just made the great believer's mistake. Jumped into the darkness, the desperation, and Jesus caught me and immediately washed away took away all the darkness, and I saw the light. And then Jesus started talking to me in my mind and telling me things, and wave after wave of love and peace and light emulated through my soul, and I saw it manifest itself in the mirror, if you will. Reflect. My spiritual eyes were open to a degree, so I don't know if another person would have seen this. Depending on their spiritual gifts, if they were in the place with me, they would have seen or felt or do different things, I believe, or sense different things depending on how they connect with the divine and where they are on their path and journey and awareness. Excuse me, I have a yawner bellies going on, so apologize with the yawns. So this was a very light-filled experience. The next day, I went to work, and rather than being miserable and resentful and apathetic, I was full of nothing but peace, love, and hope. And I spoke to everyone gently and kindly, and people noticed. I remember being set aside in a room by a high school friend that was there. She asked me what was going on. She said, "Why have you changed? What happened?" And I had opportunity to minister and share a bit of my experience through the Spirit. Was this experience? So this is where the slyman doctrine begins to manifest itself. For every up, there is a down. For every left, there is a right. For every back, there is a forward. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I believe that is Newton's first law of physics. That is true in the spiritual realm too. The yin and the yang is a symbol of that. Carl Jung taught about the shadow self or shadow work. I'm not an expert on Carl Jung, so I'm speaking loosely here. He also spoke of archetypes, which are certain symbols that can be used as, I guess, mile markers or posts. Maybe you could call it a sign through our spiritual journey. The word units are, grounding units. Trees could be another symbolical word to describe an archetype. Again, I'm not well rehearsed or have dived deep into this subject, other than being intrigued intuitively to it, and how this ties into the slyman doctrine, which I have received And like I said, this story is about how I received it. So I do not remember the exact moment that shadow self began to manifest itself, but I do remember some key points. And I will share a few of them. So the light and the peace was in me, and then eventually it would shift, and I'd feel, a darker feeling, maybe suspicion or maybe a mild paranoia, or just it's a shadow. It's a reflection of the emotion I felt before. Everything has its opposite. The trick to life is learning how to balance both of them. And the slyman doctrine is well, it's not necessarily how to do it, but it's just a manifestation of the truth of it. And so what I noticed going on and during this time of my life is I would have life would become a dream, if you will. Things would unfold spiritually, and I would go on this journey, and then there'd be a focal point, and it'd be another person. Another person would come into my path. Perhaps a symbol of this could be the story of Highlander, the movie Highlander, where these people would come together, these immortals, and they could sense each other's presence close, and they would come together and they would fight. And the story is that they gain, when one of them is killed, the other one gains power and levels, receives a level up. And there can be only one was the tagline. Good movie. Sean Connery was in the first one. He was the mentor. He was the Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you will, of the hero's journey, as he's taking the protagonist and teaching him, preparing him for his hero's journey. Back to the script. So the shadow self manifestation. So I remember a pretty specific manifestation of the shadow self. I was in a computer lab and searching the internet. Now this is 96, so the internet was very different, but still the principles were very much the same. I was going through what now is more commonly called a rabbit hole. I was intrigued spiritually to look at certain things, and before I knew it, I was going through websites and learning about the man in the mirror. And the words sounded spooky as I read them off the page. And it seemed like I'd look at something and the story of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass was coming to mind. In that story, Alice slips into the mirror and goes into the opposite world, if I remember. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but this is metaphorically speaking. It was the opposite. Everything was its opposite. And that's another example of a manifestation of the shadow self. So as this understanding came to my mind, I began to call it the slyman theory. And the way I understood it was we become entangled, and when we meet a slyman, we begin to spin, and information is received between both parties. These are focal points in our spiritual journey. These can be nodes. Maybe it could be classified as nodes. And as we go through those experiences, if we can suffer well, if you will, those emotional experiences and learn the lessons, we can unfold into higher levels of light and learning. If we don't learn the lessons well, then it's okay. We end up we can fold back, and more understanding is needed, and life's journey will take us through that, and we have an opportunity to battle or entangle, if you will, with the shadow self manifested through an archetype of a person that comes into our life. So this is the slyman doctrine. How do we transcend, or how do we utilize these principles to transcend to higher levels of understanding and awakening? The term suffer well comes to mind. And the Christ story is a perfect example of suffering well. And this is my teaching of the slyman doctrine. Thank you for joining me. If you found this video helpful, please, and if love inspires you to do so, please share this video, subscribe so the algorithm will continue to bring you videos like this one, and have a blessed day, and peace be unto you as you continue on your spiritual journey.